Hello, you amazing friends. Happy Friday to your winners. I'm so lucky to be with Kim Araman from Dubai. How you doing, Kim? And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Ed. I'm doing great. It's Friday. The weather is finally better in Dubai, so I cannot be happier.
Now, I was just going to say, we're talking before off camera. It's end of year for you. You're doing crazy hours. Tell us what's been happening in your world. I mean, you're a successful businesswoman. Tell us all about what you're up to, Kim.
Thank you so much. So, I mean, it's end of the year, so it's obviously always usually quite busy. With January being the biggest hiring wave of the year, actually. So January is like the biggest month where all of the hires of worldwide happens. I would say because it's where most companies open their books again in terms of reinvesting in people, budget unfreeze and everything. So they start hiring before that. So it's pretty good for me, but also for job seekers too. I would say so now is the right time to really put all of your efforts, all of the guns out. I would say, to really make it happen. It's now or never, we say.
Now, I was just going to say very quickly, we've got Karen Clark with us. Big wave to Karen Clark. We love you. And I was just going to say, friends, if you just come in or you're watching the recording, please smash that like, share, and comment and connect with Kim Araman in Dubai. Hey, Alma, good seeing you. You've got the whole gang here today. And part of us, we've got virtual backgrounds now. And notice how it all cuts us out. Now they've got virtual backgrounds on StreamYard, huh?
Exactly. And you see only faces and shapes and things moving.
There we go. There we go. So just so I get it, Kim, just so I understand. So with jobs in Dubai, is it more like so people sort of apply now? And what do the jobs start in January, or do people sort of apply now? How does the actual cycle work this time of year, Kim?
It's actually a shift. So it's like 'cause some companies do start recruiting right now because they want people to be set in position in January. And some people do open the position up in January because that's where the budget gets unlocked in terms of, being able to hire people internally and get the go ahead from that. So there is two waves. So I would recommend for anyone who's looking for a move or looking for jobs right now, do start from now. You will see, of course, inherently there is going to be a dip like towards the last 2 weeks of the year. Everyone's going to be off, there's going to be silence there, but do amp up your job search and everything right now, all up until I would say the 20th of December or so. Do take some time off, I'm sure you also need it, but do also get back going if nothing happens till then. So it's right after New Year's Eve, like the 3rd of January or whatever, when everyone is back, because that's where the big shift is going to happen. It's like you don't want to miss that boat. So really put all the paddle and the gas foot on, I would say, because it's now like you need to be able to action things to get the opportunities right.
Got it. So you're saying right now is the time you got to get it done. Otherwise, you'll miss the boat, you'll miss the budgets. Then it might delay your job landing time.
Exactly. I mean, of course, there are, job waves throughout the year, right? Like there's always job hiring and everything, but the peak time and the biggest time is definitely in January. Then you're going to have always some things going on and off, less in the summer, of course, because of understandable reasons. But the biggest wave is definitely 100% in January. No, no denying that.
Oh, excellent. Now, I'm just going to ask you, I know you get asked these questions all the time, but I'm just going to ask you the very basic questions. And these are questions that even now I'm not a career guy, I'm a LinkedIn guy, I'm a business networking guy, but I get asked this all the time, right? To get a job in Dubai, should you be in Dubai first, or is it possible to get it remotely from your country of origin? What's the whole deal there?
Depending on your country of origin, of course, some of them are easier than others. We're not going to deny that. Unfortunately, in terms of things, there is still that bias going on, I would say, right? It is, of course, much easier to apply, not just in Dubai, but any country you're looking to apply for. It is 10 times easier to be in the market because first you're available for physical interview. They don't need to worry about flying you in or whatnot, but it is not impossible to apply from abroad. It is, I would say, on a case by case basis, depending on where you're coming from, which market. Sometimes it's easier than others to get that hold up. But if you can get a tourist visa, whatever is easier to get a few months rolling in and to come to the country or whichever country of your choice you're applying for would be much easier and will amp up your chances in terms of actually getting something done physically versus virtually.
Oh, well said. I was just going to ask you as well, right? Is what are some of the things that makes a top resume? I know resumes are getting a bit older with the whole takeover of LinkedIn, But I don't mean general stuff you can get online. But these days, I'm talking about here and now in the post-pandemic world.
Yeah.
What makes a great resume in the here and now? Because I know this has changed a lot over the past few years.
Still hear me? Yeah, because I saw it
Yeah, I
was
can hear you.
going
Yeah,
off for a second. I would say it has changed a lot, and the way we used to apply for jobs in the past does not work anymore. The way we used to spray, I would say spray and pray kind of thing. You send your resume out there to I don't know, hundreds of applications, and you hope that you're going to get a response back in return. Does not work anymore. If you're doing that right now, I would please urge you to stop, because you're wasting your time doing that in terms of things. The same way we are wired as consumers, companies are wired the same way. So it's all about personalization. If you're not personalizing and taking the time to actually think what's in it for them, why me, and making that dot and making that connection, that does take time in terms of figuring where that comes, I would say, because it doesn't come automatically, then you're just not doing it right in terms of things. Having a CV written, I would say, professionally is good, but if you're going to use it exactly as it is, it doesn't give you results. You need to be able to put the effort in to be able to get the effort and the reward, I would say.
Yeah, so I agree with you because I remember the things have changed because you're right. In the old days, it would just be what, send out 200 resumes and get a job. But I
Exactly.
imagine now that just wouldn't work because, I mean, if you're a hiring manager, you want to see someone who's taking that job seriously and writing a beautiful, cover letter and a beautiful, relevant resume and CV. Is that a fair? Am I understanding you correctly, Kim?
100%. And I would go beyond that. Like, it's like people just stick, I would say, don't stick to what everyone else is doing, because then you're just being, you're just a drop in the ocean, and you're not, making any resonance in terms of things. You need to be able to do things differently in the right way, of course. So it's being visible the right way, not the wrong way, to be able to stand out, to do some things differently than other people, to do something that will actually catch that attention, actually catch that curiosity. Because if I'm saying the same thing 10 other people, 50 other people, 100 other people are saying, then why me? Why am I standing out in terms of difference? It doesn't work this way anymore.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, the next question again, I'm a guy who spends like 16 hours a day on LinkedIn. I get up at 6 a.m. I'm like straight on LinkedIn. Before I go to bed at 11, I'm on LinkedIn. So I like to argue I'm purely a LinkedIn expert, I just put in more time than anyone else. So that's my whole argument. All right.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask you, right? The whole hidden job market going via LinkedIn. So we know, as of course, as you would say, a lot of roles aren't advertised. For someone who wants to use LinkedIn to get a role in, let's say, Dubai, how would they go about it? Like, obviously, take us from the top. Where would you start to help one of your clients get a job via LinkedIn in Dubai?
So you don't know what will come, right? So you cannot stick to one strategy versus the other in terms of things, because there is no guarantee here. And there is no guarantee, because if something works for someone doesn't mean it's going to work the same for you. If it worked for you one time doesn't mean it's going to work the same time, the same way the next time you're searching for something else, right? So you need to spread a bit your strategies, I would say, in terms of doing different things, applying online, reaching out to people. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. You need to use LinkedIn, as we said before, and for example, I'll give you our example, although we're not working together. Me and Ed, how did we connect? We never met. You're in Sydney, I'm in Dubai, not miles away, but opposite sides of the world, kind of thing, right? And so many other people, like you're one of the people, of course, I'm connected with. You also have so many more connections. Same with me, and that's the power of LinkedIn, and that's for us as businesses. But it's the same for job seekers, in terms of things. I can tell you also, if I'm going to get stuck on the outreach I'm sending to potential people I'm interested in that don't respond to me, then why would I do that? Am I focusing on the people that are not responding to me, because that's going to happen whether you like it or not? Or am I focusing on the people that are responding to me? What are you afraid of if you're not outreaching? Are you afraid of what people are going to say? Are you afraid of judgment? Are you afraid about, being shy to ask for help? And then ask yourself, what am I really asking here for? You're not asking them for a job. Maybe you're asking to pass your resume. Maybe you're asking to make a connection with someone. No one is going to hire you if they don't want to hire you. So what are you really asking for? And then ask yourself, how important is that for you? What's the risk you're actually taking? Getting a rejection that is virtual, how bad can that be? It's a virtual rejection, at least. It's not a physical one.
It's funny. I was watching one of your videos, and by the way, if you are watching, please smash that like, share, and comment, and connect and follow Kim Araman. She's an amazing lady. I was watching one of your videos. It might have been about 6 months ago, so pardon me if I'm a bit incorrect in the details. But basically, in the video, you were talking about rejection. You did a whole thing on rejection, and I loved it. Right?
Yeah.
I always say I discovered you 20 years late. Like I needed you. If I like, and I'll come back to that point in a minute. I got something funny to tell you, but I'll come back to that. Right? But anyway. You did this whole video about rejection and you were being quite funny. You must have been in a funny mood that day. And you're saying, you sort of did this weird pose as Kim Araman does, saying, hang on, why are you afraid of rejection? You don't have anything to lose. It's not like you've got this and then it's taken away from you. You've got nothing. Like, where does this fear come from? And I think you unpacked it well because it's sort of like rejection is just all in their head. It's kind of stupid, isn't it? I know it feels real, but you basically made the argument that rejection's kind of dumb and it's very illogical. Tell us a bit more about that because it was funny. You did this whole Arabic funny thing about it, which I can say being an Aussie Arab myself. You're doing the whole, why? And I thought, yeah, as an Aussie Arab, I appreciated your funny style. But tell us more about the fakeness of rejection and how stupid it is from a logical point of view.
100%. So, I mean, rejection, also keep in mind that what we're saying now is applicable also to any kind of belief that we have, right? I'm not good enough. I don't know what other people will say. What will people think of me if I do X, Y, Z? If I reach out to them, will they think I'm desperate? All of these. But then the reality is, why is it all in our head? Because we're fabricating this scenario that is not real. It's not a real scenario. It's just we're fabricating it in our heads to be able to say, you know, and give excuses to ourselves as to why we shouldn't reach, why we shouldn't do this. But you need to go deeper in terms of thinking because that's just the surface level. You need to ask yourself, really, what's under there? Why am I afraid to reach out? What am I really afraid of? Yeah, okay, I'm afraid of failure, but why really am I afraid of failure? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid of, you know, being out of my comfort zone because the chair I'm sitting in is so comfortable? Then the other one looks very nice, but I'm like, I'm not sure how comfortable it will be. So I'm sitting there comfortably and I want to stay there. But what I don't realize is that the chair is actually, you know, like a used clothing, I would say. It's just ripping apart, right? It doesn't stay intact. It just rips to shreds and it's, you know, it's comfortable. But then they start having holes, and then, you know, your hair start having bigger holes to the point where you'll have to change it at some point because it's not wearable anymore, or it's starting to give you back pain. It's the same principle. You don't need to wait to be in a job where the environment is so toxic you can't bear it anymore, where you're like being let go, where you're being fired, where there's a restructure for you to take things in control and to you know, make a change at that time. Sometimes some things are sudden, and that's okay. But when you feel like there is something that's not 100%, you don't feel happy, you don't feel fulfilled, you feel like something is missing. You know, I feel like I'm doing something day to day and I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it, right? We're all human beings. There's no perfect life out there. I also do my own job as a business. I don't want to do it every day. And that's a given. Sometimes I'm like, you know what, maybe I don't want to work today, right? But I still do. And I still push myself. You're always going to have ups and downs. But if you're there procrastinating and just wishing away the weeks and the weekends on ends and nothing is changing, then what's the point? Why are you stopping yourself, since there is no risk you're taking anyway?
Oh, absolutely brilliant. And I love where you're going. And you did another video on this one that, again, was very funny because I love your videos. You got this funny charm about them. You're talking about toxic workplaces.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to say, when we're applying for jobs, right, especially in Dubai, how do you spot, because it's
how do
you spot a toxic workplace? So how do you spot it at the interview stage? What are your top tips to protect us from getting a toxic job and screwing our lives up?
So I would say there are no guarantees, of course, because sometimes there is a management change even after you change. Sometimes there's your own manager changing. There's like things changing, you know, getting more financial pressure. But as much as we can, same way we say, you know, do your research before going to your interview. Do your research on the company. But it's not just going online and Googling and seeing. You can go and see the reviews. You can go and see the reviews on salary websites, which tell you what do they have to say about this company that's good. What do they have to say that's not so good? connect with people that work in these companies and just connect on a chat and see how is that going. What do they like about their job? What do they not like so much about their job? And then remember that we're not so much in COVID anymore. So most of the interviews are moving into physical, at some stage anyway, maybe not in the preliminary stages. Do look at the environment around you, because when you walk into the company and into the room, you actually feel the energy of the people working there. Are they happy? Are they all running around stressed and, in a mood of, let's get things going kind of thing? Do they feel friendly with each other? Or do they feel like it's like competition and I don't know what? You can't obviously assess all of these things so long, but you're in the waiting room. Maybe go there 10 minutes before. Of course, do at least in terms of things. But also assess, look at things, see things, even if it's the only few minutes that you have. Connect with people that work in these companies. All of these different things are going to help you to understand, am I really looking for the right environment? Am I not? As much as possible. And then look at the person that's going to be hiring you. What's your synergy with that person? Do they feel like it's someone you would be happy to work with every day? Or is this more like, let's get the job kind of done one thing, like, because you need to get a job. It's really important to see these signs, because sometimes they are red flags we just don't see at the beginning. We just realize that they were there. We just didn't want to look at them at the beginning. And that's very important to understand that, in terms of things. Look at these red flags, identify them, and at least acknowledge them, be aware of them, so that you have the full picture in your hand.
Now, I know you're not a travel agent, but I'm very sold on Dubai. It was a long story short. About 20 years ago, I almost moved to Dubai, and what stopped me was so basically my life journey was Dubai or Sydney, and I was that close to going to Dubai, but a few things happened that threw me in the Sydney direction. So, and I always say, in a slight twist of fate, imagine if I went to Dubai, I would have hired you right away as my career coach. Changing reality and timelines a bit, it's like I needed Kim 20 years ago. That's where I needed Kim, right? So it's like we're one generation out of sync, right? It's quite funny, right? Right. And because I think you're amazing, and because what's funny is that I had a lot of even though I'm a business owner now, quite successful, I had a lot of unresolved job issues. And I'm actually watching your videos, getting all my old issues resolved by watching your stuff. It's quite funny, right? The thing I want to ask you is, I'm going to pretend you're a travel agent for the moment, right?
Yeah.
Now, Dubai, I think, is a beautiful location. What are some of the top things about Dubai, and why do you think it's such a great destination for people to migrate to and build a life in?
I think from a career perspective, it's amazing to be here, because there is so much going on. Where I would say, luckily, in the part of the region as well, with everything going on around us, in Europe and everything, where it's actually growing, where it's actually booming, right? You still feel the financial pressure, but not in a very different way where you have in Europe and in the US, I would say, and everywhere else. With the boom of obviously Saudi Arabia, and then, Qatar now with the World Cup. And Dubai was obviously there first. They've always been pioneer in terms of things. Like, they've been there 10 years ahead of time, way before anyone else. And you actually see what Dubai made out of these 10 years. So you actually realize, and you're like, I'm excited to see where they see that going, right? Because this is just the start. Like, you built, I would say, a city out of a desert, but like a real conglomerate cosmopolitan city, in terms of things, out of a desert, that's in just a span of a few years. That's insane. That's crazy. You have to be a visionary, like you do have as government and rulers of the country, to be able to even think about achieving that, let alone make it happen in terms of things. So definitely, I would say, from the working environment aspect, it's definitely a country where you're happy to be in, because the career progression, if you wanted to have it, is just exponential. For people like me that want to set up also their own businesses in terms of things, it's just minimal in terms of whatever is required, but it's just easier to actually take the risk and then make it happen in terms of things. And you would see that you have a lot of opportunities out there. But also Dubai, I would say, as a hub, is the hub. It's like in the middle. I would say it's easy to go to Asia from anywhere here. It's easy to travel anywhere in the country, like in the world, from Dubai in terms of things, because you're so connected. You have people from everywhere in the world, so you're so diversified in terms of culture, accepting of other people's culture, respecting of other people's culture. There's just so much going on all the time. I don't know from where to start.
Okay. Wow. Now, I'm aware you have to go in a few minutes, and we'll wrap it up now. And just a big thank you to our fans, for those watching: Kemi, Andreas, Nofar, Samsu, Ahmed, and everyone, Lutabi. If you come in, smash that like, share, and comment. Please connect with Kim Araman, amazing lady. Now, Kim, just more, I suppose, sales pitch time. So for anyone watching, especially if they want to like work in the Middle East or Dubai, basically, how do you work? Like, I know you're a career coach, you help with everything. Tell us a bit about your process and how people can get started with you.
100%. So, I mean, I usually provide personalized programs. I don't believe in group coaching program or whatnot, because it's the only way you're able to provide real, concrete, tangible results for people. We're all unique in our own individuality. It's important to factor that in. So I do it on a case-by-case basis where, people connect with me. I just ask them a couple of questions to make sure we're the right fit. Then we jump on a strategy call. We work a bit their situation in terms of things. We see what's not working. How can we make it work for them? And we just get started in terms of things. What's important is also, I have a masterclass coming up actually December 5th, which is going to be the last one of the year. And that's obviously also very much on the point of what we discussed now, which is how do I actually be the first one to land the job that I want to land in the biggest hiring wave of the year, which is January coming up. So I definitely recommend whoever is interested in a promotion, you're not happy at work, whatever career goal change you want to make right now, but you feel like it's not really working out for you and you want to change that, just click on my LinkedIn page, DM me. You will see I post about it like every day up until December 5th. You just need to click on the link, register, and then I'll see you on December 5th, and then we can take it from there.
Oh, amazing. Kim, I know you got to go. You've got a client in like 5 minutes, and I respect that. I'm not going to make you late. So, Kim, I just want to say a big thank you. I know you're a busy lady. Can we just get a quick closing thought from you before I hit the end broadcast?
Yeah, so I mean, it's the end of the year. It's going to be also hard for a lot of people to reassess what they've done throughout the year. Don't be too harsh on yourself, I would say, in terms of things. We are very critical, overly critical sometimes with ourselves, where we feel like we haven't achieved as much as we want to. But guess what? It's always going to be the case. You're never going to say, I've achieved exactly what I wanted to, because even if that's the case, you're going to find more things to do. It's an ongoing process in terms of things. So try and be, nicer, I would say, to yourself in terms of things. Talk to you as if talk to yourself as if you were talking to your friend, and say, okay, if I was talking to my friend and I was looking at my career from a friend's perspective, what would I say is what I've done well and what I've achieved this year, and just celebrate that. And then make sure you focus on what you want, making sure you make things happen for next year as well.
Oh, Kim, amazing. We better let you go to your client, Kim. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Kim, and thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you so much, everyone, also for being here. It was a pleasure being with you.